Now come to the questions. These questions are totally NCERT based. How you can solve these from the use of NCERT, right? In what manner you have to study the NCERT in detail, right? So each and every line makes a question. Clear? So now come to the first question. Match the column, that is in column 1 there are the some vitamins, that is vitamin B2, that is riboflavin, B9, that is folic acid, B3, that is niacin or nicotinamide, right? In column 2 that that factors is related with these, right, and the diseases related with that. So vitamin B2, as we know that vitamin B2 is riboflavin, right, as its name suggests, riboflavin, and it is essential for the formation of FMN and FAD, right? That means what? That is one is related with the Q, clear? That is one is related with the Q, that means both these options are there, that means they are cancelled here, clear? Now what will happen? Answer is in those options only, right? In A and C there is no chances of answer, right? Now vitamin B2 deficiency disease, as we discussed in summary, vitamin B2 deficiency is the chlosis, that means 1QU, right? That means 1QU, and 1QU is in both options, right? So now come to the next, that is B9. B9, that is the folic acid, right? That is folic acid. It is related with the B9 is related with the THF. That is, full form is the tetrahydrofolate, right? Tetrahydrofolate. So that is the THF is related with that, and it is responsible for the megaloblastic anemia. That means the 2T, right? 2PT, 2PT, that is answer is D, right? That is answer is D, and you can cross with it. That is B3 is related with the formation of the NAD or NADP. The full form of NAD is the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, right? That is NADP, and its deficiency disease called the pellagra, and pellagra, that is the 3D disease, right? Diarrhea, dementia, and the dermatitis, clear? And we know that the dementia is the memory loss, right? So simple, the correct option or the correct answer is D, right? The correct answer is D, clear? So in that manner you have to correlate the questions, right? You have to correlate the questions. Now come to the second one. Sphincter of Oddi guards the opening of. What is that sphincter of Oddi, right? That is the sphincter of Oddi. Right hepatic duct, left hepatic duct, right? When they comes out of the liver, they forms a common bile duct, right? And that common bile duct opens into that is C-shaped it's C-shaped duodenum, right? That common bile duct combines with that pancreatic duct, right? It combines with the pancreatic duct, and after combining, both these gets combined to form the hepatopancreatic duct. See, you know that is liver, right? Right and left pancreatic duct, right? It gets combined to form common bile duct. That common bile duct, when gets combined with the main pancreatic duct, when they combines with the main pancreatic duct, right, then what will happen? That main pancreatic duct and common bile duct gets combined to form that hepatopancreatic duct, right? Hepatopancreatic duct, and it opens into that part of duodenum through the ampulla. That portion is known as the ampulla of Vater, right? That broad portion is known as the ampulla of Vater. Clear? And that ampulla of Vater is guarded by the sphincter of Oddi. Right, that ampulla of Vater is guarded by the sphincter of Oddi. That sphincter of Oddi, right? So the sphincter of Oddi guards the opening of cystic duct into bile duct? No. Right? What is that cystic duct? So simply the duct of gallbladder is known as the cystic duct. The duct of gallbladder is known as the cystic duct, right? Into bile duct, that is which the right and left hepatic duct or bile duct. Right, and it gets formed to common bile duct. So bile duct into the main pancreatic duct? No, right? Bile duct is guarded by the sphincter of Choledochus. Bile duct is guarded by the sphincter of Choledochus, and that pancreatic duct is guarded by the sphincter of Boyden. That sphincter of Choledochus is also known as the sphincter of Boyden, right? And the pancreatic duct is guarded by the pancreaticus. Clear? So simply that sphincter of Oddi guards the hepatopancreatic duct into the duodenum. So the answer is the D. Clear? So you have to correlate when you read the question, right, all the option comes in your mind, right, that sphincter of Oddi is related with what and what and what, right? If the answer is direct, then you can, but you have to read all the options very carefully, because if 4 options are correct, right, but in these 4 we have to choose the more appropriate answer, right? When you evaluate the paper of 2016 NEET, right, it is in that pattern, all 4 options are correct, but they want the most appropriate answer, right? So you have to read carefully all the options, right? Now come to the third one, that is, following ions and enzymes are present in saliva. Now the question is, what is that saliva? Now the question is, what is saliva? We know that saliva is the aqueous fluid, right? It is watery and aqueous fluid with a pH of 6.8, right? With a pH of 6.8, and the secretion of saliva, that is the secretion of the salivary glands, right? That is parotid, submaxillary and submandibular, right? So what will happen? Largest salivary gland, but submaxillary forms the maximum part of saliva, right? When we talk about the content of saliva, 99.5% is water and 0.5% is rest of the part, right? That means in saliva, gases is present, right? Ptyalin, or which is also known as the salivary alpha amylase enzyme is present, right, which is present in the secretion of parotid gland only. It is not present in the secretion of the submaxillary and submandibular, right? It is present only in the secretion of parotid salivary gland. It is also the question of pre-medical, right? Now what will happen? The another enzymes are also present, that is the lysozyme, right, which is the antibacterial enzyme, thiocyanate, antimicrobial, right, and with in saliva, sodium, chloride, potassium, bicarbonate ions are also present, right, except the glucose. Glucose is present only in the secretion of the diabetic patients in severe diabetic cases, right? With that, IgA antibody is also present in saliva, right? Mucin is present in saliva. So these all are the contents of the saliva. So now what? The pH is 6.8, right? Here 1.8, that is the gastric juice pH, and that is 7.8, right? That is the intestinal juice pH. So both options are cancelled. Now the answer is in only B and is in between the only B and C, right? Now what? That is 6.8 pH, right? But now the potassium sodium, potassium, calcium amylase at pH of 6.8 and sodium chloride bicarbonate amylase at pH of 6.8, right? So the most appropriate answer is the C, right? The most appropriate answer is the C. That means the sodium ion and sodium chloride and bicarbonate with salivary alpha amylase enzyme at a pH of 6.8. So these ions and the enzymes are present in that. Calcium is not present here, that's why B is not possible. Potassium is there, sodium is there, just minor change in that option, that is the presence of the calcium. Clear? So calcium is not present in the saliva. Clear? Now come to the next question. Gastric glands, as we know that we already studied that in stomach there are gastric gland that is related with the stomach, right? That is related with the stomach. We know that gastric glands chief cells, peptic cells, also known as the zymogen cells, right? Chief cell, peptic cell and the zymogen cells. Clear? They secretes, there are 5 or according to NCERT there are 3. Second is oxantic cells, also known as the parietal cells, also known as the Kulchitsky cell, third is mucus next cell, right? Fourth, Argentafin cells, and the fifth is the G cells, right? Now what will happen? In NCERT only upper 3 is given. Chief cell secretes pepsinogen and prorenin, right? Oxantic cell secretes HCl and intrinsic factor of Kessel, right? Mucosal cell secretes mucus. Argentafin cell secretes somatostatin. G cell secretes gastrin hormone, right? G cell secretes the gastrin hormone. Now what will happen? The pepsinogen and prorenin, right? In presence of that HCl, it activates the pepsin and prorenin. Both are the proteolytic enzyme. Both are the proteolytic enzyme which helps in the breakdown of the protein, or we can say the beginning of the protein digestion starts from the stomach, right? So these are the proteolytic enzyme. When pepsinogen actives and convert into the pepsin and renin, prorenin is converted into the renin, right? Then what will happen? That on protein, pepsin acts on protein and is converted into the peptones proteoses and peptides, right? These are the partially digested protein. That means right now they are in polypeptide state, but not completely polypeptide and not completely dipeptides, right? They are the partially digested polypeptides, right? Now what will happen, that renin is also known as renin is responsible for the curdling of milk, right? Renin is responsible for curdling of milk, right? When that renin acts on at a pH of 1.8, that renin acts on the milk protein casein in presence of calcium ion which is present in milk. It converts into the calcium para caseinate, right? And after that pepsin acts on it and digests it completely, right? So in that manner both these enzymes are act. Oxantic cells, parietal cell, HCl helps in the activation of the pepsinogen and the prorenin and convert it into pepsin and the renin, right? As well as they destroy the microbes which comes with the food which we taken, right? Intrinsic factor of Kessel responsible for the absorption of the vitamin B12, and if it's deficient then what will happen, the pernicious anemia, right? That mucus neck cell, mucus just before the secretion of the oxantic cell secretion, it forms a thick coating of the mucus to prevent the whole wall of the stomach, internal wall of the stomach from eroding by the effect of the HCl, right? Somatostatin, it is the combination of the histamine and the serotonin, right? It also helps in the decrease amount of the decrease the secretion of the HCl as well after the completion of the protein digestion in the stomach, right? Beginning of the protein digestion in the stomach. And that G cell, the gastrin hormone, it stimulates all these gastric glands to secrete their secretion, right? So in that manner now these gastric glands, what will happen? HCl secreting chief cell secretes the pepsinogen and prorenin. That means that option is wrong, right? Prorenin secreting peptic cells. Intrinsic factor releasing chief cells, no. Intrinsic factor released by what? Parietal cells, right? And chief cells and peptic cells are both are same. HCl secreting parietal cells and mucus releasing mucus neck cell, bilkul right? Parietal cells, which is also known as the oxantic cells, right? And what will happen? Pepsinogen releasing parietal cells and HCl releasing or oxantic cells. Clear? So what will happen in that option? What is wrong? That pepsinogen is the secretion of the chief cell or the peptic cell or the zymogen cell. It is not the secretion of the parietal cell, right? So that option is also wrong. So the correct answer is the HCl secreting the parietal cell, right? HCl which is secreted by the parietal cell, and the mucus releasing, that is secreted with the mucus neck cell. So when you read the question, then related with these gastric glands, all the information sudden click in your mind, so you will solve the problem very easily, right? It's never you clear. So there is no chance for the mistake, clear. So you have to memorize all the informations and correlated with, right? Now come to the Next question, that is digestion of nucleic acids. It gets started and finished by the A and B respectively. Digestion of nucleic acids, that means they talk about the nuclease, right? They talk about the nuclease enzyme who is responsible for the nucleic acid, right? And started and finished by A and B respectively. Finished by A and B respectively, that means started from the, that nucleus is present in the pancreatic juice. This is the question of 2015 paper, pancreatic juice, right? And it is finished by A and B respectively, that means simply it is finished by the succus entericus, right? It is finished by the nucleotides and all the nucleosidase and nucleotidase which is present in the secretion of the intestinal juice, that is intestinal juice, which is known as the succus entericus, right? Which is known as the succus entericus. Clear? So this is the intestinal juice and which carry the number of the enzymes, right? So now what is the answer of that question? Nucleus is present in the pancreatic juice, so first answer is the pancreatic juice. There gastric juice, no. Succus entericus comes first, that means the nucleus is present in succus entericus, no, right? So this option is also wrong, right? Now pancreatic juice, yes, nucleus is present in pancreatic juice, and the second one which is completed by, that is nucleotidase, that is also present in the succus entericus. So correct answer is C, that pancreatic juice and the succus entericus, right? Bile juice has no enzymatic activity. Bile juice has no enzymatic activity. This is also the question of pre-medical, right? Bile has no enzymatic activity, or we can say through bile there is or enzymatic activity is absent through bile in digestion, right? In bile only bile salts are present which is responsible for the emulsification of fat, fat, right? So this is all about the that particular question, right? So you have to learn each and everything so you can easily retrieve the exact answer, right? Correlated, it's very easy method. Now consider these statements. What will happen? Facilitated transportation of fructose requires the calcium ions. This question, when you write the question, the facilitated transportation of fructose required the calcium, glucose and sodium absorb actively in blood. Fatty acids are absorbed passively in blood. Mouth cavity has no absorbing capacity. Assimilation takes place only in large intestine. That means all these is related with the absorption and assimilation of the foodstuffs, right? So now according to when we go through the NCERT in page number, when we go through the NCERT in page number 264 in the absorption of food, there is a line given. These lines are taken from that paragraph, right? In which it is mentioned that facilitated transportation of fructose requires sodium ion, not calcium, right? Clear? So this statement is wrong. Clear? Glucose and sodium absorbs actively in blood, right? Fatty acids are absorbed passively in blood. No, fatty acids are absorbed actively in blood. So this statement is wrong. Mouth cavity has no absorbing capacity. This is also wrong because the absorption starts from the mouth. That's why in when we take a case of heart attack, right? if a patient suffer from a sudden acute myocardial infarction, or which is known as the heart attack, so doctors prescribe an emergency medicine for the heart patient, that is just like solbitrate, right? If their emergency medical aid is not here, right, and at that time we have to secure the patient from the consequences of the myocardial infarction, so we can put that solbitrate tablet just below the tongue to reduce the stroke of that attack, right? So in that case, other than that, also some medicines also absorb directly from the mouth, right? So mouth cavity has absorbing capacity, so that is the wrong answer, right? Assimilation takes place only in large intestine. No, this is wrong. Assimilation takes place not in large intestine. It is related with the small intestine, related with the lacteals and the other cells. Clear? So only one statement is right and other 4 are wrong. All these statements are taken from the NCERT, right? So 1 is correct and 4 are wrong. This is the answer. Clear? In that pattern, you have to read the NCERT, each and every line of NCERT, right? Now, come to this is the 7th question, which is taken from the wall of the alimentary canal, right? It is taken from the wall of the alimentary canal, which is given in NCERT at page number 259, and the little bit portion is given in page number 260, right? What will happen? We know that there are 4 layers in the whole alimentary canal. Outermost is serosa, second muscularis, third is submucosa, and 4th one is the mucosa, which is the innermost layer, right? And that serosa is it consists of the mesothelium, right? The blood capillaries and with the blood vessels. So mesothelium is there, right? Serosa, that is mesothelium. Now in NCERT it is mentioned that serosa is the outermost layer and it is made up of the mesothelium, right? That is the epithelium of the visceral organs with some connective tissues, right? So now what? That's why the answer is the mesothelium. Muscularis layer is made up of the longitudinal and the circular muscle fibers, right? And the longitudinal and circular muscle fibers with in some organs like the stomach, oblique muscles are also present, right? Oblique muscles are also present. So what will happen? In muscularis, the longitudinal, by the action of the longitudinal circular, and in stomach by the action of oblique muscles also, mixing of food occurs, right? In stomach. But when we talk about the whole alimentary canal, that is due to the longitudinal and the circular muscle. Outermost is the longitudinal, inner is the circular, right? So loose connective tissue, nerve, blood vessels, lymph vessels, crypts of Lieberkühn, Brunner, innermost lining of the alimentary canal, villi. That is mixing of food in small intestine, right? That is related with the B, and even smooth muscle fibers, right? Even smooth muscle fibers. So both options is related with the muscularis, right or wrong? Right. Now come to the submucosa. Submucosa is consist of, according to NCERT, it is clearly mentioned in NCERT that submucosa is consist of the loose connective tissue, some blood vessels, nerve vessels, right, and lymph vessels. And we know that also that duodenal glands are also present in the submucosal layer. That is the it is talking about the Brunner's gland, right? So now come to the that is C is related the loose connective tissue, C is related with the nerve blood vessels and the lymph vessels, and that submucosa is also related with the Brunner's gland, right? Submucosa is also related with that Brunner's gland. So that is right. Or now comes to the mucosa. What is mucosa? That is the crypts of Lieberkühn. Now the question is, what is crypts of Lieberkühn? We already know that crypts of Lieberkühn is folded mucous membrane of small intestine, right? Folded mucous membrane of small intestine. It is type of simple tubular gland. It is the type of simple tubular gland, or we can say the example of the simple tubular gland, right? So mucosa, that is crypts of Lieberkühn. Innermost lining of the alimentary canal is the mucosa, right? And the villi is it is related with the mucosa, inner lining of the mucosa, right? So now A9 present in all three options. B muscularis, muscularis is related with 7 and 8, 7 and 8 in just C option. So answer is the C. Clear? Right? So this is the pattern to solve the NCERT. That's why we said that each and every line is to be memorized with understanding, right? Not only the ratification. Clear? Now come to the next question. How many statements are not related to the saliva? Right? We already studied in second question about the saliva. Sodium, potassium, chloride, bicarbonates ions are related with the saliva. Exactly, it's correct. It helps in the swallowing, right? Initiation of peristalsis? No. pH is 7.8? No, its pH is 6.8, right? Its pH is 6.8. So this option is wrong, right? Digestion of 30% of carbohydrate is here exactly by the ptyalin enzyme, right? Production of maltase exactly when that ptyalin acts on the starch at a pH of 6.8, then it converts into the maltose. This reaction is given in NCERT, right? Clear? That's why the production of maltose is done by it is related with the saliva, and defense of the body exactly because in saliva, content of saliva, IgA is present. So not related with the saliva, these two are not related with the saliva, that is two statements. Clear? Now come to the ninth question. Select the incorrect pairs, right? Pepsinogen, HCl, exactly HCl, in presence of HCl, pepsinogen is converted into pepsin, so it is correct, exactly. Prorenin is activated by the pepsin. No, it is activated by the HCl, right? It is activated by the HCl. So it is wrong. Trypsinogen HCl? No, trypsinogen is activated by the enterokinase. Exactly, that enterokinase enzyme is present in the intestinal juice, that is the succus entericus, right? It is present in the succus entericus. Clear? Procarboxypeptidase is activated by the trypsin. Exactly, it is activated by the trypsin. HCl pH is 1 to 3. Exactly. Emulsification of fat is related with the bile pigments. No, it is related with the bile salts, right? Emulsification of fat, what is the meaning of that emulsification? That is the large fat globules splits into the simpler form and the small, right? This is called the emulsification. Clear? And the bile salts is related with the emulsification of fat. Smell of food, salivation. Obviously, if in our surrounding some very tasty, delicious food is cooking, right, and by the fragrance of that, by the smell of that good food, right, automatically salivation occurs in our mouth, right, and we know that what kind of thing is cooked there. Clear? Just because of its smell. It's just like the butter paneer, or it's just like the palak paneer, or it's just like the chola masala, right? So that is the responsible for the salivation, right? So it's strong, right? Neural signals, gastric secretion, exactly by the listening of the your favorite food and just thinking of that, right? We have our neural system, our parasympathetic nervous system gets activated, and salivation starts, right? And due to that salivation, G cell gastric glands are also stimulated, right, by the parasympathetic nervous system. So G cells activated to secrete the gastrin hormone, and that gastrin hormone secretes the other, it stimulates the other gastric glands, right? So this is also right. So how many pairs are incorrect in that question? That is prorenin 1, 2 and 3, right? So the correct answer is 3. So to solve the question, you have to correlate all the informations with the related questions, right? This is the best method to solve the errorless question, right? To solve the question errorless. Now come to the select the correct pairs. Food poisoning, that is feeling of fullness when food poisoning is known as the botulism. Food poisoning is known as the botulism, right? Causative organism is the Clostridium botulinum, right? And that bacteria release enterotoxin in over the surface of the food, and it causes the food poisoning. So the first that is the fullness feeling. That means even after not taking any kind of food for a since long time, right, the feeling of the fullness is there, right? The nausea is there, sensation of vomiting. Clear? The abdominal ache. Clear? So the food poisoning is related with the feeling of fullness. Yes, it is related with the feeling of fullness. Clear? Amino acids absorption mainly active. Actually, when we see that the amino acid absorption occurs all the possible ways, occurs through all the possible ways, right? But mainly active absorption, right? Least absorption in mouth, right? Glucose active passive transportation, correct? Least digestion in large intestine. Digestion is absent in the large intestine, not least, not more, not moderate, right? It's totally absent. Vitamin B12 absorption is related with CIF, that is Casel's intrinsic factor, exactly for the absorption that is necessary. So this is also right. So how many pairs are correct? These 5 are correct. So answer is the D. Clear? Now come to the next question. Pancreatic juice contains the trypsinogen, correct? Chymotrypsinogen, correct? Pepsinogen, no, because it is present in the secretion of the gastric juice. It is the secretion of the gastric juice, not the pancreatic juice. Procarboxypeptidase is the pancreatic juice secretion. Nucleases is the pancreatic juice secretion, but not pepsinogen. So first statement is wrong. Bile contains small amount of the cholesterol and the phospholipids. Exactly. Right? Bile contains a small amount of the cholesterol and phospholipid, right? So the statement A, only A is correct, wrong, only B is correct. So answer is the B. Clear? Come to the next, that is match the following, right? The carbohydrate, protein, fat, vitamins, minerals. Carbohydrate that is related with the glycosidic bonds, right? When we study the biomolecule chapter, right? In biomolecule chapter, in carbohydrate 1-4 glycosidic bonds are present, so it is related with, right? Then protein is related with the peptide bonds, so here organic substance cannot synthesize in our body. No, protein can be synthesized in our body, equally important, but require in less quantity. No, it's a basic building block material, that's why it is required in maximum quantity. That's why it is called the macrobiomolecule, right? That is the related to the carbohydrates. Esters of fatty acids and cholesterol, that is related totally with the fat, that is 3D, right? Protein, that is anhydropeptide bond, that is second. Clear? Vitamins required in vitamins cannot be synthesized in our body, they are the organic substance, right? And minerals equally important but less in quantity, so answer is 1C, only in one option, that is answer is A, right? 1C, 2E, 3D, 4A, 5B, right?